For more than 40 years, East Tennesseans have trusted Madisonville Marine. They offer great prices, terrific customer service, and the biggest selection of boats in the area. Boats like the G3 Sportsman, featuring sturdy construction and superior features. These perfect fishing boats were designed with wide deck space, plenty of storage, and a smart layout. And they also deliver more fun per gallon than anything else on the water. See for yourself at Madisonville Marine. There's no better place to buy a boat.
The following is a presentation of Fox 43 Sports.
You are watching the Sports Source Kickoff with John Pennington, presented by Madisonville Marine.
Good game day morning. Welcome into the Sports Source Kickoff presented by our friends at Madisonville Marine. We're going to talk about today's Tennessee-Vanderbilt game as the 2017 season mercifully comes to a close for Tennessee. I say mercifully because they couldn't just end. There had to be one last controversy. We'll discuss the Juwan Jennings dismissal. We'll also ask what's worse, losing 4 out of 6 to Vanderbilt, which is what this would be basically, or an 8-loss season for the first time ever. So a fun show. Let's get in this first segment brought to you by Madisonville Marine. Colder weather is here. It's coming in. That means time to think about the kind of tough workhorse boats that sportsmen want, like the G3 Sportsman, the G3 John boat, Skeeter Bass boats. They've got them all. Madisonville Marine, terrific deals, terrific customer service. I've been telling you about them for more than a decade now. They've been in business for more than 4 decades now, closing in on 5 decades. There's a reason. It's because there's no better place to buy a boat anywhere in the state of Tennessee, Madisonville Marine. All right, I want to welcome in today's panel. We have Jimmy Himes from 990, where you do sports talk in the afternoons. We have Will Overstreet, VFL right there, former defensive end at UT and in the NFL. And Mike Griffith down there with SECCountry.com, and you pop up occasionally on the SEC Network as well. Okay, lots to talk about. Juwan Jennings, we'll get to that. The potential for an 8-loss season, we'll get to that. But let's talk about the UT Vanderbilt game. Both teams come in at 4-7. Both teams come in at 0-7 in the conference. And judging from these statistics we've put up, both teams stink. Scoring offense, these are just SEC opponents only. So we take out the non-conference. Tennessee has 8 offensive touchdowns on the year against SEC foes. Vanderbilt has 19. That ranks 14th and 13th in the league. You see their average points per game inside the league. Tennessee averaging less than 13 points. Vandy up around 20. Scoring defense, yeah, they're bad there too. Tennessee has allowed 11 touchdowns in the SEC play. Vanderbilt's allowed 41. That's worst in the league. They're giving up 46 points per game in SEC contests. 14th. Tennessee, they look pretty good by comparison at only 34 points a game. Let's go to the next chapter. It looks, when you delve deeper into the rushing offense, yeah, bad there. Tennessee 13th, Vanderbilt 14th. 80 yards a game against conference foes. Rush defense, horrible. Tennessee 12th, Vanderbilt 14th. Worse than Tennessee, mind you. And then you get down, this is the only thing where you see something positive. Pass offense, Vanderbilt 3rd in the conference, 241 yards a game. Pass defense, it's misleading. We know what Missouri did to Tennessee. Tennessee's number 3 ranking in pass defense, a lot of that's built on the fact that nobody has to throw against them. And then let's look here. This is where you may find the advantage. Turnover margin against SEC foes, Tennessee -3. That's not great. That's 11th in the league, but Vanderbilt -10. So maybe Tennessee can get a couple of turnovers. And then Kyle Shermer, he was the difference last year in Nashville. You see the numbers, 57.3% completion, not great, but 2,500 yards, 22 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. Second most yards per game in the SEC, and Vandy puts it in the air 32 times. That's most in the SEC. Turnovers, Kyle Shermer, gentlemen, who has the advantage in tonight's nightmare matchup?
Nobody,
Today's.
apparently. Yeah. It's like this. Guys, I've picked Tennessee to win it, but Shermer's interesting. I think he is a big X factor. A year ago, if I remember right, he entered that Tennessee game averaging 166 yards passing the game, and he threw for 414 and 2 touchdowns. And I do remember Bob Shute telling me later, the Tennessee's defense coordinator, he said that was a game where it looked like we were playing with leg weights on. That was a defense that had been worn out. They shouldn't be in that situation this time around. But, gosh, if I had to pick an advantage at some place, I'd probably go Shermer at quarterback over Tennessee. Garantano, I like what he's done lately, but I think Shermer's had a better year.
You've still got to put the ball in the end zone, and Garantano hasn't been able to do that, certainly not to the effect of Shermer.
And I think Shermer's second in the league in touchdown passes, 22.
Gentlemen, your thoughts. Is there an advantage in this game, and who does it go to?
Well, the only advantage I could see besides Shermer, I do agree with that with Jimmy there, that it goes to Vanderbilt, is just the turnovers that you see that Tennessee has a difference there with Vanderbilt right now in a game like this where you have two terrible teams and two terrible offenses. The turnover game is really where you can see that take advantage. And as we've seen, Tennessee's best offensive play to score is when their defense gets the ball somehow, some way, and either scores with it or sets up the offense for an easy run in. So right now, I think that's the advantage for Tennessee in this ball game, is just their defense and the ability to get the ball.
Yeah, I think Vanderbilt's inability to run the ball, which is surprising because Ralph Webb is, I think, their all-time leading rusher, and yet they're averaging less than 100 yards per game against SEC competition. Teams have really gouged Tennessee on the run, and that's made Bob Shoop change things up. If Vanderbilt cannot run the ball effectively, then the Tennessee defense might actually be able to do some things, get after the quarterback a little bit. Part of the reason they haven't been able to do that is down and distance. Teams have been able to run the ball effectively first, second down. So I think Vanderbilt's inability to run the football sets up well for Tennessee.
Let's talk injuries just for a second. Tennessee was down 25-30 men by the time the LSU game started. And that's not even a joke, literally. Yeah. They were down to about 60, 55 guys
56, yeah.
by the end of the LSU game. That's no way to play football in the Southeastern Conference. You throw that in with the injuries, although it looks like Brett Kendrick will be back on the field. That's the thought, is he will get in there this afternoon. Anybody else returning that we know of?
John, the numbers are that last year they led the nation with 52 missed starts due to injuries. This year's 87 after this game. I mean, it's unbelievable.
But do we see anybody else other than Kendrick, which still could be a scratch late, but do we see anybody else getting back on the field tonight that we wouldn't expect?
Will McBride will be available, according to Brady Hoke. And the rest of the offensive alignment, I don't know. I don't know if Richmond will be back. I don't know if Tatum will be back. I think Ja'Shawn Robertson will play. Coleman Thomas is out for the year, according to Ethan Wolf.
Right.
So he's out. So it's where they have what? Unless somebody emerges, they got 4 scholarship offensive linemen.
Right. After starting the season with 14.
Yeah.
So the question then, when you've got that many injuries, and you've got last game itis, all right, you've got a coaching staff that we'll talk about the controversy in a minute, but you had a coaching staff who knows where the team is on that decision with Juwan Jennings. Do you even see a possibility that Tennessee comes out and plays, with their heads in the game tonight? Because there was a lot of chatter last week after LSU. Well, the defense really came out fighting. The defense also had to only defend the run because it was a hurricane and LSU wasn't going to throw. So that impacted the look of it a little bit. Do you think this Tennessee team, with everything going around, with the bodies that are missing, can possibly come out and surprise people with, wow, they played a pretty good game?
Well,
I don't think so.
That's hard. I mean, I think
I've seen too many football games from this team so far to say, yeah, I think they'll show up today.
I think they can win. That doesn't necessarily translate into all of a sudden they're going to beat Vanderbilt by 20.
Agreed.
So I think it'll be a struggle between two bad football teams, and I think Tennessee will somehow find a way to win it. But I don't expect Tennessee to come out and play a great game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the real thing. Can this team actually play a great game? I mean, not just because if they want to. This team's ability to is the question mark, really and truly. They have the ability to play a great game. In some game you watch tape and go, wow, that was a good game. I don't know if they have the ability.
Even when healthy, they never played more than a great half.
Right.
You played a half against Georgia Tech. You played a half against Florida.
What's that stat you had, Jimmy? 3 points in the fourth quarter of the last 8 games, something like that? I think Ty Chandler will be back, by the way. I do think Tennessee will respond, and I think they'll play really hard. Not because they're a great team, but because it's personal because of last year's game. Vanderbilt took a lot away. You could say this whole slide started with that loss, knocked Tennessee out of the Sugar Bowl, and you got a lot of Middle Tennessee kids on this team that got to live in Middle Tennessee and deal with Vanderbilt.
That, to me, is probably the best thing Tennessee has going for it, is you have some Middle Tennessee kids that don't like Vanderbilt. One of them was Juwan Jennings. He made that clear in a verbal assault on everyone this week that wound up getting him dismissed. There has been a generational line drawn. If you are over a certain age, you look at it and you say, well, you can't cuss your coaches. If you're under it, you can cuss anybody you like. We'll discuss whether Tennessee was right or wrong in dismissing Juwan Jennings. Come on back.
From
From games to weddings to parties, and from executive travel to a night on the town, Chariots of Hire is the simplest, most cost-effective, safest way to turn an event into a lasting memory. Their dozens of vehicles allow you to select the perfect ride for your need, and their superior service guarantees you'll arrive in style. More options, more drivers, more experience. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing right. Chariots of Hire.
For more than 40 years, East Tennesseans have trusted Madisonville Marine. They offer great prices, terrific customer service, and the biggest selection of boats in the area. Boats like G3 John boats, built Gator tough. G3 Johns include all the features you could want from a workhorse boat. Massive live well capacity, lockable storage, even a midship fuel tank that allows for smoother running. See for yourself at Madisonville Marine. There's no better place to buy a boat.
Come experience the Lexus life at Lexus of Knoxville, a level of service and satisfaction that goes above and beyond the everyday. We're a consecutive 5-time Elite of Lexus Award winner and rated 4.7 out of 5 stars for customer satisfaction according to Google. Lexus of Knoxville offers a limited lifetime powertrain warranty on all new and select pre-owned vehicles with unlimited miles. Enjoy express service, extended service hours with courtesy vehicles, and much more. Come experience the Lexus life at lexusofknoxville.com.
Have you been hurt in a car wreck? Bill Hodson Associates, the car wreck attorneys, have helped thousands of people all over Knoxville and East Tennessee.
From downtown to the duck pond, Broadway has about 30 traffic lights. In our 30 years, we've helped people hurt at most of these intersections, and we're ready to help you right now.
Experience you can trust. Bill Hodson Associates.
When it comes to your business, no one provides better security and life safety systems than Safety Systems. Protect your employees, your products, and your records with a single phone call. Professional technicians ready to design, install, and monitor your cutting-edge fire and security systems. Electric locks and surveillance cameras. Emergency and after-hours response and repairs. Trust Safety Systems, East Tennessee's leader in security and life safety systems.
Welcome back into the Sports Source Kickoff, presented by Madisonville Marine. This segment brought to you by Chariots of Hire. The holidays are here, Christmas parties, office parties, New Year's Eve. Make the holidays special and make the holidays safe. Call Chariots of Hire for you and your date, for you and your office mates, for you and your crew, whatever you're doing. Try these guys once, and I swear to you, you will be hooked. Have fun this holiday season and be safe. Chariots of Hire. They are fantastic. Take my word for it. All right, let's talk Juwan Jennings. Here's a little timeline of what's gone on with him. The Mercurial wideout was injured in the Georgia Tech game. He then disappeared. Wasn't on the sidelines for games. Wasn't around the complex for practice, meetings, film sessions. He was nowhere. Then he showed up this week and said he was ready to play. When Tennessee apparently told him no, he went to Instagram and posted an obscenity-laced tirade cursing UT's coaches, calling them liars, saying the staff has held the team back, begging for a better coaching staff moving forward, and also cussing Vanderbilt for good measure. Brady Hoke, who will coach his last game tonight, contacted AD John Curry, and they dismissed Jennings from the team. That set off a battle of the ages among Vol fans. Most fans and media over 40 or over 35 said you can't cuss your coaches and just walk. That's insane. You're going to get punished for that. But most fans, I say, under 40 or 35, they have no problem with coaches cursing players. In fact, they had no problem with players cussing coaches. A lot of them threw out there, hey, what about coaches that curse players? What about Butch Jones cussing on TV last year and getting caught? And we read his lips. What about John Kelly and the pot citation? That's worse than this. And one person actually wrote, well, Jennings was dismissed for daring to ask for a better coaching staff. No, I don't think that's why he was dismissed. Personally, my view, and I put this on Twitter and then got the "we hate you, die" responses. My view would be leave it to the next coach to let him decide. Indefinitely suspend the guy. Leave it to the next coach to decide if he wants to fool with or not. That's how I would have handled it. But Hoke went to the AD. Ultimately, that's above everyone. So if Curry says he's gone, he's gone. And my view is, who can do this in real life and get away with it? No one. It's a life lesson. Your thoughts, what would you have done?
I'd have kicked him off the team. I agree with John Curry. I don't want that representing my school, my football team. I don't want him wearing orange. I don't want any part of that kind of behavior. And it's not the first time he's had issues. He's had second chances. He's probably had third, fourth, and fifth chances. But when you see that, why in the world would you want that to represent you? And I agree with John Curry and with Brady Hoke. I would dismiss him.
It's a young man that has had issues from high school moving forward. And sometimes when you're a star player in high school and you get to keep playing, it builds up the belief that I'm 10 feet tall and bulletproof. Jimmy, we were talking, you believe they actually cleaned out his locker at one point, correct?
I was told they cleaned out his locker because he had been gone for so long, they thought he'd quit the team. So they cleaned his locker room out, and when he came back, he was offended.
Thoughts on this? Will Overstreet. And now there were some players saying, one former teammate of yours who was on Twitter saying this is wrong, it's terrible. This is a guy, I wish we had more guys like Jauan Jennings. Your thoughts on this?
No, I mean, I think there's a time and place to where you say stuff and where you disagree with people, and you can get mad and disagree with somebody in private. But once you take that out in front of the public and you try to make basically the leadership above you, and you do that, you've basically created ultimate rebellion against that group. And as a team, you can't have that anywhere on a team. At any point in time, that guy's got to go immediately when that happens. And so I don't disagree with taking him off the team, because at the end of the day, the University of Tennessee is bigger than any one player and any one thing. And when you start making that look bad and start tearing that down, it's time to go. And that's what I think this is the case in point of. It doesn't matter how great you are, sometimes you need to go somewhere else, and you need to learn from those consequences that if you do that, things can happen to you. You're not bulletproof, as you said, and you can suffer the consequences. And sometimes that's the best thing in the world for a guy like Jauan Jennings to learn.
I had someone say, well, this stuff happens all the time.
It does?
Like, name one. Name me a college player who went on a tirade online like that in a video and remained on the team. And there was no response, of course, except go die. Something to that effect. Mike, where are you on this thing?
Yeah, I think they had to dismiss Jauan. I think that was the terrible look for Tennessee, not just the vulgar language, but some of the racial terms that Jauan used several times over. And you know what's sad about this is I had an opportunity to talk to Jauan one-on-one before this season started, and I told him the story about James Banks and said, you know, a lot of people are saying, you know, you could be the next James Banks and not end up playing pro football despite these talents. And at that time, Jauan was playing football. What happened to Jauan Jennings is when he got injured, he lost a big part of his identity and clearly wasn't able to deal with it. And you take that away from a lot of football players and they struggle. Now, I'm not saying that makes it right. I do think he should be dismissed. I think it should be up to the next head coach if he wants to reinstate Jauan Jennings. And I'm sure there'd have to be a lot of hoops to jump through. And as we talked about a little bit off air, I'm of the belief that Jauan probably needs some counseling to deal with some of the anger, because that is not a typical response from a 20-year-old man.
Well, it's getting more typical in this day and age, but that doesn't make it right. I think you are seeing more people that just rip out. Now, the interesting thing is these people are, you know, my view is no one could do this to their boss and not get fired for it. Doesn't happen. If I went on a tirade about the folks here at Fox 43, this show isn't going to be here next year, okay? That's the way it works. So the people who look at it and think, well, you can get away with murder, I think they've been raised to think that. Again, there's a generational thing. It's split. When you look on Twitter and the message boards, it is pretty clear where most people view this thing is based on their age. There are people that now think that I can get away with anything, and I think you're going to see more idiots do things like this. But I think they'll probably pay the consequences for it. But I can't think of anyone in the past who's done this and been kept on a football team. Now, part of why people, I think, are accepting of this is simply because they hate Butch Jones. They have come to, a chunk have come to despise him. He's an evil guy. He was mean for 5 years. So therefore, anything you say bad about Butch Jones must be true and must be approved. And I guess if you want to hate Butch Jones, you can hate Butch Jones. That doesn't mean everyone out there and the way they react to things is okay. Even if you dislike Butch Jones and feel that maybe Jauan wasn't treated correctly, that's still not the way to respond to it.
Bad behavior doesn't justify other bad behavior in response. I mean, that's a simple
much simpler way of putting it. Thank you.
You know, here's another thing, too. If you're Butch Jones, and I would say he made a mistake here, did he allow him to not go to the weight room or the training room or no meetings or no games? You allowed that? Why? If he's such a great teammate, Jauan Jennings, then as a head coach, you should have said, you have to do these things. And if you don't, you're gone. Maybe he did tell him that. I don't know.
Also, you know this, if a guy like that you've had trouble with before gets injured, you should be monitoring him more. Because just what Mike said, when a guy loses that identity of not being on the team, the chances of him doing worse things and bad things and going off the rails.
Alabama's got 85 guys to do it. Tennessee got turned down trying to hire a quality control assistant. That's going to come back to bite you. That's why this doesn't happen as much with other teams like Alabama, because they got 85 guys working there. Tennessee's budget, $28 million. Alabama's $54. It's ridiculous.
We'll take it back to money. All right. When we come back, what would be worse? Losing for the umpteenth time to Vanderbilt in the last few years, or losing 8 games in a season for the first time ever? We'll discuss that, and we'll tell you why we think Tennessee's going to win. I'm guessing everybody's taking Tennessee. We'll tell you why. We'll try and come up with reasons. When we come back on the Sports Source Kickoff presented by Madisonville Marine.
When it comes to your home, no one provides better security and audio-video systems than Safety Systems. Control everything using your tablet or smartphone, whether it's a hidden TV or the temperature in your home. Lighting, doors that open and close, lock and unlock, cameras that allow you to watch your home from wherever you may be, all at the touch of a button. Trust Safety Systems, East Tennessee's leader in security and audio-video systems.
For more than 40 years, East Tennesseans have trusted Madisonville Marine. They offer great prices, terrific customer service, and the biggest selection of boats in the area. Boats like Suncatcher pontoons, ultra luxurious, sophisticated, and stylish. You won't find a more family-friendly pontoon boat. All with cutting-edge technology designed to enhance the quality of your time on the water. See for yourself at Madisonville Marine. There's no better place to buy a boat.
Have you been hurt in a car wreck? Bill Hodson Associates, the car wreck attorneys, have helped thousands of people all over Knoxville and East Tennessee.
Two of America's busiest interstate highways intersect in Knoxville. Interstate speed keeps traffic moving, but it can also result in terrible wrecks. We've helped a lot of people hurt in these wrecks, and we're ready to help you right now.
Experience you can trust. Bill Hodson Associates.
Come experience the Lexus life at Lexus of Knoxville, a level of service and satisfaction that goes above and beyond the everyday. We're a consecutive 5-time Elite of Lexus Award winner and rated 4.7 out of 5 stars for customer satisfaction according to Google. Lexus of Knoxville offers a limited lifetime powertrain warranty on all new and select pre-owned vehicles with unlimited miles. Enjoy express service, extended service hours with courtesy vehicles, and much more. Come experience the Lexus life at lexusofknoxville.com.
From games to weddings to parties, and from executive travel to a night on the town, Chariots of Hire is the simplest, most cost-effective, safest way to turn an event into a lasting memory. Their dozens of vehicles allow you to select the perfect ride for your need, and their superior service guarantees you'll arrive in style. More options, more drivers, more experience. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing right. Chariots of Hire.
Welcome back into the Sports Source Kickoff presented by Madisonville Marine. This segment brought to you by Lexus of Knoxville. You see the website right there. Get ready for the holidays. It's the Lexus December to Remember sales event. NX turbos, IS turbos, ES 350s, and 100 other models. Get to Parkside Drive in Knoxville. Check out the new and used inventory and the great deals, great financing available. All December long, December to Remember, Lexus of Knoxville. Also want to remind you that tomorrow at 11 a.m. on WATE 6, we're going to have the Sports Source. I've got Will Overstreet's name up there. We'll see if you're there or not. We'll try and lure you in. But that is tomorrow, and we're going to be talking a lot about the coaching search for Tennessee. So we haven't talked it today, but that'll be a huge chunk of tomorrow's show. Talk a little basketball as well. And then here's the question. I put this up on Twitter this week. If the Vols lose Saturday, it would give them 4 losses versus Vanderbilt in the last 6 meetings and 5 in the last 13 years. It would also be UT's first ever 8-loss season. What is worse for fans? Easily, number one was the first ever 8-loss season. About 70% said that. Do you guys agree 8-loss season is worse than losing 4 out of 6 to Vanderbilt? I would agree, because I think football has changed to the point where Vanderbilt isn't as bad as it used to be. I think the scholarship limits, you look around the nation, you get 130 schools now. People can upset people. To me, you've never lost 8. That's one of your claims to fame. It's you and Ohio State, and now you're about to lose that. That would be the worst thing for me. But I see Mr. Overstreet.
No. I think
he played in a different era, though. Vanderbilt was a doormat.
Who cares? They're still Vanderbilt. I mean, it's not like they've all of a sudden become this powerhouse and like they're winning the SEC East and going on to play for championship. They're still Vanderbilt. They're still not. I mean, they're still not a very good team at any point in time.
They're 0-7 this year.
Yeah. I mean, losing to them and having they've won more games out of that last 6 years than you have. Come on.
So that's worse than losing an 8.
Yeah, I mean, 8. See,
loss season.
I know that's this big historical thing and all this stuff, but that doesn't really mean that much. When I know I've lost to Vanderbilt more times than I've won in 6 years, to me, that's awful.
I think 99.9% of players would agree with Will. Thoughts?
I think the 8 loss is worse. It's in part because you've never done it. I think the 8 loss is just a huge gash in your side. And then if Vanderbilt does it to you, they poured a pound of salt in it. So I think the 8 loss would be worse just because of the historic significance.
And to look at it, say all 8 came in the SEC. 0-8 in the SEC.
You've never done that either.
Yeah.
Well, from a national perspective, the 8 loss is worse because that's what's going to get the attention. Although you could say, well, that makes them just like every other program but Ohio State. So they're really not that big. But I think regionally and locally, I think the Vanderbilt losses could have more of an effect because it does affect recruiting, because Tennessee is trying to recruit Middle Tennessee. And now Derek Mason can say, hey, we've beat Tennessee 4 out of the last 6 years. If you go to Tennessee, we're just going to beat you. And that would look pretty bad, and that would harm Tennessee's recruiting in Middle Tennessee. And also, as Will said, I mean, I think it's a pride thing. I don't know if Tennessee ever really got over that Vanderbilt loss last year. I mean, I was told Butch Jones was going to get a 2-year extension if he won that game and Tennessee went to the Sugar Bowl. That game cost Butch Jones almost $10 million and ultimately maybe his job.
Certainly. Well, if they had gone to the Sugar Bowl last year, he probably would have gotten more leash this year, but I don't think he would have gotten leash to the point of going 4-8 and surviving. But it would have played out differently, no question. Okay, everyone here takes Tennessee, correct? I barely took. I took them by 1 on Sunday. You took them by
Tennessee.
3.
Yeah, that's way too much, but I took them.
Will, you say Tennessee by 10, but is that more to do with our standings on Sunday?
Yeah, I think it's more to do with our standings on Sunday, trying to be good there, because right now, man, I don't know. I think it's a pick-em game. I just don't know if you're going to win this game or not. I don't know how the team's going to come out and play. I think that's the biggest question I have on any one of these games now. Who comes out and says they want to play? Because this is 2 bad teams.
It's an easy opportunity. If you fall behind early,
just give up. Just quit.
I mean, there's a real chance you just turn out the lights and go back to the locker room.
Well, you pretty much know this. If your defense sees that that offense, if they score 17 points or 21 points, I think it's a give up. They're done. Because I don't think their offense, the defense thinks our offense could score more than 17.
Mike, your thoughts on
as bad as Tennessee's, I got to believe these guys have got enough heart and competitive nature. I mean, Vanderbilt was talking smack at SEC Media Days. They really were.
And their coach danced on the field last year after being
we own this state and all that. And the Vanderbilt players were talking junk, and the Tennessee players did say that there is added motivation. You'd think there would have been added motivation for other games, but I think that Tennessee is good enough to beat Vanderbilt if they're motivated, and I think they'll be motivated for this game tonight.
Okay, Jimmy, we've picked Tennessee. I'll tell you, the reason I picked Tennessee by 1, I can't picture Tennessee with 8 losses in the season. That's it. There's no reason on the field for me to say it, because to me, if you're looking at advantages, the turnovers may work in your favor, but I don't know if you can score even if you get turnovers. To me, the clear advantage is Kyle Shermer can put the ball in the air and can put the ball in the end zone, which Tennessee hasn't proven they can. So I think it's difficult to pick Tennessee, but I'm doing it just because I can't see 8 losses. 20 seconds. Why are you taking Tennessee?
Because I can't see them with 8 losses either. I do think that this team will play well enough early to give them enough confidence to carry in the second half. They've been a bad second half team in many respects, but I think they'll get a lead and hold on to it.
All right, gentlemen. Thanks to all of you. Appreciate all these guys being here. Appreciate you joining us. Appreciate our sponsors. We'll be back here next week to break down what we assume by that point will be a coaching hire. We'll also be talking about the season of 2017, putting that to bed, looking forward to 2018. And be sure to join us tomorrow, 11 a.m. over on WATE 6 for the Sports Source. We're going to have a big show there talking a lot about the coaching search. See you then. Thanks.
This has been a presentation of Fox 43 Sports.